Bill Gates consistently, he keeps going on podcasts warning there will be another pandemic, and he says this time it's going to be a bioterror attack.
So I'd probably put bioterror, which is a really awful...
So they're going to admit it comes from a lab this time. And yeah, here in this video next to me, this was the illicit Las Vegas basement biolab. Federal authorities raided it last week. And thankfully, it doesn't appear there was anything too bad in there, just some containers, some mysterious liquids. People went in the garage and they reported feeling very sick. So, I mean, we really don't know what was in there, but this particular lab was linked to the Reedley Biolab in California, which was seized a few years ago, and they had Ebola. They had a freezer labeled Ebola. They had humanized mice. They had COVID-19. And so, you know, we don't know what the main threat's going to be, but it's either from a basement biolab like this or the government-funded, government-ran, and nonprofit-ran biolabs. Mm-hmm. Both of them pose similar risks. We have to remember they're rolling out 6G now. Trump just signed an order to accelerate the deployment of 6G. This is going to interface with biological implants, it says in the order. So these are brain chips that will interact with 6G and artificial intelligence. There was a recent systematic review paper that came out looking at the biological effects of 5G wavelengths, 5G frequencies. It changes the function of the cell. It changes the gene expression of the cell, so the cells start to act differently. It can cause DNA damage in these animals. It can cause tumor growth in these experiments. It causes neurological changes, biochemical changes. So the proteins being produced in these animals are changing when they're exposed to this. And, you know, again, we can just keep going down the list. When you inject into the human body a synthetic, you know, modified messenger RNA that's been modified to last very long in the body, and you tell your vital organs to produce a non-human highly pathogenic protein, that's not going to be, you know, improving cancer outcomes. A recent study found that it basically cuts survival time, pancreatic cancer survival time, in half. The people who received the mRNA shots lived half as long. And so, you know, it's cutting lifespans, it's accelerating the cancers, and honestly, they have no grounds to try and dispute this now. The evidence is clear. If they injure children, if they kill children, you know, disable them, give them autism, the vaccine makers, they're completely protected under the 1986 National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. This bill by Senator Rand Paul would destroy that shield. It would shoot a flaming javelin into that shield. It will break it in half. Big Pharma will have nowhere left to run. They'll have to start paying out for all of the injuries, deaths, and disabilities that they've caused. And they will probably go bankrupt. And it will actually force them to make safer vaccines. They can't be rolling out untested injections anymore. So this bill, introduced by Rand Paul recently, it's got to go through. It's got to be put into law. This is actually vital to actually make America healthy again.
Can you explain what a turbo cancer actually is?
Turbo cancer is basically, just as it sounds, a cancer that is turbocharged. So usually these turbo cancers start at stage 1 and they rapidly progress to stage 3 or 4 within just a few months. And they're usually highly fatal and they're treatment resistant. And so you can just think of them, as turbocharged cancers that we did not see before 2021. This whole thing appears to have been planned. The Epstein files came out recently, and, you know, Epstein, Gates, JP Morgan, all these individuals were working on vaccine profiteering constructs back starting in like 2013. They were discussing pandemic simulations. DARPA, the DEP-P3 program in about 2012. That project was basically to develop pandemic countermeasures using messenger RNA. And then we got up to 2019 with Bill Gates, Gates Foundation, John Hopkins, Event 201.
Yeah.
You know, they were doing a pandemic simulation 2 months before the pandemic began with all of like the corporation head CEOs, basically to say, you know, this is what
The
we're gonna
deputy
do.
of the CIA was there. Yeah.
Yeah, we published about 6 papers on heart conditions with these shots, and it's quite unequivocal. 2 studies have found the spike protein and messenger RNA in the heart in myocarditis patients and deceased victims. And so we know it does get into the heart. And since that happens, it unfortunately gives the cardiomyocytes, your heart cells, in the myocardium, the instructions to make these highly pathogenic spike proteins. So once they begin to make them, your own body is going to attack those cells expressing those proteins, resulting in that cardiac inflammation, scarring. That's very important. Our public health agencies claim it's mild and transient myocarditis. It's not. It can result in irreversible heart scarring. Heart scarring does not go away. And in particular, it can result in micro scars. An autopsy study found that you don't even see those on imaging. You can only see it under a microscope. And so, and these micro scars were found in sudden adult death syndrome victims from these shots. They received like 6 boosters, and there was these literally like tiny little scars resulting in these electrical conduction abnormalities, you know, ventricular tachycardia, eventually cardiac arrest, sudden death. We published the first paper kind of elucidating COVID-19 vaccine-induced cardiac arrest. As well, we published an autopsy series where we concluded that COVID-19 vaccine-induced myocarditis is fatal. This is a huge study. This is three stage 4 cancer patients, melanoma, breast cancer, and prostate cancer. These 3 advanced cancer patients experienced remission in 2 cases, complete remission, and in 1 case near remission for an extended period of time, years after initiating this fenbendazole protocol. And none of them received chemo either, right? So this was it was in combination. A few were with a surgery. Some did receive a brief dose of radiation, but in general, this fenbendazole was linked to extraordinarily, accelerated tumor reductions in a pretty short period of time, with extended survival outcomes, with no evidence of disease. And so this is absolutely huge, right? And this corroborates the preclinical data, right? So when they were testing this in animals, they found so many different anti-cancer mechanisms. And so now we see in humans, for basically the first time, that this does appear to have real anti-tumor effects clinically, and it is an anti-parasitic like ivermectin, and so we see the same things as well with ivermectin. Usually, sometimes these doctors pair ivermectin with fenbendazole, and so this is very promising. What we do really need now, though, before we can make claims that it's curing cancer, we need large-scale clinical trials immediately. As this cancer epidemic increases, it's time for proper study of these extremely safe and cheap compounds.
Thank you for joining Titans of Liberty. I have a very special guest today, Mr. Nicolas Hulscher, or Nick. And we're glad you joined us today. He's a master of public health. You've probably seen his videos recently with breaking stories about cancer treatments with ivermectin and other parasite treatments and dewormers. So really, he needs no intro. We're glad to have you today, Nicolas. Like I said before we hit record, I do appreciate you being here and your work. I mean, it's just groundbreaking, the studies that you're reviewing and just putting out there. So what is first of all, how did you get to where you're at now? What got you started in looking at this research?
Well, yeah, well, thanks for having me. And honestly, everything began basically just in 2023 when I was actually at University of Michigan still. And I got an internship with Dr. Peter McCullough to investigate COVID vaccine deaths and autopsy evidence of those deaths. So that was my very first study. And since then, we've done about 20 studies on, COVID shots, childhood vaccine injury syndromes, and, possible treatments, etc. And then recently, in the past year or so, we really started to dig into cancer treatments and what could possibly help cancer, specifically since the cancer rates are now surging and skyrocketing, not only in the US, but across the globe. And that was recently confirmed with the latest U.S. government SEER cancer data, which basically confirmed our fears that this was occurring. Cancers were surging since 2021. And so we wanted to find ways to stop this, because what was actively ongoing, conventional cancer treatments, they could be much better. They could be much better, much less toxic, and perhaps there could be something better. And so, we looked in the literature, and there's actually a vast amount of studies in the test tube and in animals of antiparasitics in cancer. A vast amount, hundreds, literally hundreds. And each of them, they find that the antiparasitics would shrink the tumors or kill the cancer cells via like 14 mechanisms. And there's been a few case reports as well we found. One was by Dr. William Mackis. He administered a fenbendazole as well, accompanied by a few other conventional treatments. And he documented complete remissions of stage 4 cancers with it. And then there's been a few other case reports. And so we wanted to finally do a larger human study on this, right? Because it was extremely promising. So many anecdotal reports, so much laboratory evidence. It's very promising. We thought we would find a good result. And so we got about 200 cancer patients that were prescribed off-label the ivermectin and menbendazole. And we gave them 6 months to take it. And then we asked them after the 6 months, what was happening with their cancers. And again, about 200 of them. Well, after the 6 months, 84.4% of them reported that their cancers either disappeared, their tumors shrank, or the cancer stabilized. So basically everybody there benefited in their cancer treatment from this. And so it was absolutely shocking. And now it's truly gaining traction. People want to take it. People have been suffering from cancer. We're getting, 10, 20, 30 messages a day of people suffering because their conventional treatments have failed them, unfortunately. And so people are scrambling for alternatives. Their oncologists will kick them out. Or I saw a video recently that the oncologists are firing cancer patients, so to speak, because they want to take repurposed drugs. And so, yeah, it's a groundbreaking thing, and we're just digging into the investigation.
It's amazing. I remember a couple years ago seeing a gentleman in the grocery store, and the lady's just asking him, "Hey, how did you cure your cancer?" And he's talking about, ivermectin, and he's talking about fenbendazole. How do you say it again?
Fenbendazole.
Fenbendazole. Okay.
And menbendazole. So it's ivermectin, fenbendazole, and menbendazole. These are the 3 most promising ones.
So, I mean, it's just amazing to see these videos creep out slowly but surely. You see someone like Mel Gibson going on Rogan, speaking about this as well. And then I start seeing you pop up, and I'm like, okay, this is good. This is good. And then the declassified documents. Can you speak about that?
Yeah. So this one's very shocking, and it garnered a lot of attention when it's brought up, rightfully so. So in the 1950s, the CIA obtained a Soviet study that was looking at antiparasitics, parasites, and cancer. They found both parasites and tumors basically grew in the body via the same mechanisms. They both loved sugar. So they had what's called similar biochemical similarities. And so they looked at animals. They gave the rats an antiparasitic drug, Marasil D, Again, this was 70 years ago, so that's what they had back then. It wasn't ivermectin, but it was an antiparasitic, and it shrunk the tumors. And so in the 1950s, there was knowledge, documented knowledge, that antiparasitics could shrink tumors. And the CIA did not disseminate it, didn't tell the scientists, didn't tell the public that we need to study this. They buried it. They classified it for over half a century. It was not declassified until 2011. And so it appears we were set back, literally over half a century of cancer research with these antiparasitics.
2011. See, I thought this was just declassified. So this has been out for 15 years?
Yeah, it recently was resurfaced. A few major news sites picked up on it last month, and then that really brought it out. But yeah, nobody was really talking about it. It really was under the radar, particularly in 2011. And then all of a sudden it just popped up like, oh, wait a minute. Why did they bury this for over half a century? We got to start talking about it. And, it's not surprising. It's not surprising if they didn't want effective cancer treatments out for whatever reason. It's not surprising they buried this particular one, given the human evidence that we're now uncovering.
Disgusting. I mean, it's just sick. What the government hides from us to keep us sick. I mean, today there's big protests going on with glyphosate. That's another thing. Glyphosate in the food, this is causing cancer. Now these people are not liable anymore. Something that the Make America Healthy Again agenda has failed, And I know that's not RFK's fault at all. So with President Trump giving them, this opportunity to do what they want, poisoning us, it is scary to see that they don't look at other alternatives when there are other alternatives that are safer for us. We just have to come to the reality that there's a lot of money to be made in sick Americans.
Oh yeah, lots of money to be made when over 60% of Americans now have at least one chronic disease. And so when you have a majority of your population chronically ill, they're going to be customers for life, right? I mean, especially if they, go to the doctors as, very often, and, they document their chronic illness, and then they will be prescribed medicines that don't cure the chronic illness. They just, treat the symptoms. And so it's a big money-making machine, particularly cancer, though. Chemotherapy on average to the patient, a study came out, it can cost $111,000 a year. And that was documented, over 10 years ago. I don't know what the cost is now. It could be higher. I don't know. It probably varies where you are, where you get the treatment. But
Sure.
That's how expensive that can be. So that's a money-milking machine. And so there's not much incentive to want to find something cheap and non-patentable that may work even better.
Now, we see that these alternative treatments are coming out, which are very safe compared to chemo. What does chemo do to the body? I know that it basically kills the good cells along with the cancer. What else does it do? Are there any other long-term effects with the chemotherapy?
Yeah, it's basically, a carpet bomb approach. It's not a precision strike like you would want. It does destroy healthy cells. Particularly, it destroys healthy, rapidly dividing cells. So, all the cells that rapidly divide, particularly in the oral mucosa, in the mouth area. That's why, many people getting chemo get terrible mouth sores. But it does also destroy other healthy tissues, and, it causes hair loss and, all sorts of things. And there actually was a study that came out last year that found, it was in rats, so it's not fully confirmed in humans, but they found that the chemotherapy may actually reactivate dormant cancer cells in the lungs. They gave
Really?
rats chemo, and then all of a sudden they had these cancer cells that were not activated, so to speak, but after the chemo, they became activated, and traveled throughout the body and caused cancer reoccurrence. And so that's one of the big risks with the chemo, is that it may it's not necessarily curative in all cases, and so you might eliminate the cancer, but it might come back later, particularly if there's still cancer stem cells, which chemo appears to not get rid of. But that's another big thing with the ivermectin and menbendazole. Those literally target cancer stem cells to prevent reoccurrence.
Wow, it's amazing that people have been poisoned for this long, when there were other alternative treatments available. Now, that's a breakthrough right now. I think this is the biggest. Well, it can't be the biggest with everything coming out, but I mean, come on, this is like the cure, basically the cure for cancer. This has to be the biggest medical story in decades, and one of the biggest stories of the year, along with everything else that's going on with the war and things like that. Now, with the COVID shot, there was an uptick in cancer. Am I correct?
Oh,
After the COVID shot?
Yeah, 100%. And again, like I mentioned earlier, now we know for sure it did. We didn't know for sure before, because there was no government CDC data, cancer incidence data that would tell us there was an uptick. We were waiting for years for it. And so last week, the 2023 data dropped, 3 years too late. But regardless, it dropped, and it confirmed, cancers did surge, particularly early onset cancers, those under 50 years old, and multiple major cancers surged. So right after the shots rolled out, you had brain tumors were up 19%, colon cancer up 19%, stomach cancer, small intestine cancer, ovarian cancer, and breast cancer. So these all surged during the mRNA injection campaign in young adults. So it's very, concerning. And again, that corroborates multiple other studies, 3 other studies actually. 2 of them, one was in Italy, one was in South Korea. They had 8.7 million people combined in these, and they compared vaccinated to unvaccinated individuals. And the COVID vaccinated individuals suffered increased risks of 7 major cancers, overall cancer hospitalizations. And so just overall, in these giant data sets from 2 different countries, we were seeing more cancers. And then lastly, the 4th analysis that corroborates this was the CDC Wonder data. This is basically the death data, the mortality records that are anonymized by the CDC. They publish it. And independent analyses, particularly by a man named the Ethical Skeptic, has been analyzing that data for 5 years now, and he's now found 138,000 excess cancer deaths in the United States since 2021. So that means 138,000 more cancer deaths are occurring more than normal, so more than they should. And so that's basically all attributed to the mRNA injections, because that's when the inflection point was. It was early 2021 when we started to see all those extra cancer deaths. So we have 4 reports now, and it's undeniable.
So I did see Dr. McCullough go in front of Congress, I believe, recently.
Yeah, that was last May, I believe.
And he confirmed, what was it, 80% of the people that took the jab died? It was something like that. I don't have the exact number in front of me. I'm going to put these numbers up after the show. When I edit it, I'm going to put them on the screen. Do you know those numbers?
Yeah. I'm the first author on that paper. That was my very first paper. It was a systematic review of autopsy findings and deaths after the COVID vaccine. What that means is we found every single autopsy report that was published online in a reputable medical journal, looking at those who died and who received a vaccine. And so we looked at all of them. There's 325 of these autopsies, and we adjudicated each one. So for each case, we looked at the age, the clinical vignette. So basically, what was wrong with them? Did they have any comorbidities? What drugs were they taking? And then we looked at the autopsy findings. right? So what did the autopsy find? We looked at the vaccine doses. How many doses did they get? What vaccine type? And we also looked at their age. And then lastly, we looked at, well, how quickly after the shot did they die? And 325 of them. In fact, you can read the adjudication table. It's over 50 pages where you'll see our decisions there. And you can read all the autopsy evidence. And we found 73.9% of those deaths were from the vaccine. So very large percent. Most of these individuals, in fact, 35% died of sudden cardiac arrest, followed by pulmonary embolisms, strokes, multi-organ failure, myocarditis, pericarditis.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, pulmonary embolism is a very serious and deadly blood clot.
Yeah, exactly. This giant blood clot can travel up from your leg and basically, travel up, go through the lungs, go into the heart, and cause havoc. And, you don't want that. And it can cause death. So, yeah, many causes of death we identified. And then most of them died within a week of the vaccine. Right. So it's like you can't, it's undeniable that they died from the shot. And some of them had spike protein directly in the heart, mRNA directly in the heart. And yeah, so we concluded that there was indeed a causal link between the COVID-19 vaccines and death. And that should have elicited an immediate class 1 recall by the FDA. It should have at least.
This gave me chills. Oh, no, I just got chills for real, because it should have been recalled a long time ago.
Yeah, and this was published 2 years ago. And they didn't do anything. They still haven't done anything. No black box warning, at the very least, nothing. And they're killing. They have killed large numbers of people and children. 6-year-olds, teenagers, also, and if they didn't kill them, it disabled them, or it injured them, or it gave them paralysis. Now they need a wheelchair. In fact, we know multiple people. In fact, one of our own McCullough Foundation scholars was seen, we don't know if it's permanent yet, but long-term disabled from the shots neurologically. She needs a wheelchair now. A lot of the time she'll have seizures that last for 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah. So they have destroyed people's lives and they've gotten away with it.
Yeah, someone needs to go to jail. I don't think Bill Gates should be going to the White House. He should be going to the jailhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Fauci, Peter Daszak, all of these people that were involved. Do you think there's going to be anything done with all this research that's coming out? Do you have any hope? I mean, just your opinion.
I had hope before, when Trump won, RFK was going in. I had hope they would do something, but now, it's been over a year. The hope is dwindling on that. Unfortunately, we thought we would at least see some accountability for Fauci, lying.
No, but you see Trump instead, I'm getting the booster.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Trump goes and gets his 4th booster and the flu shot at the same time.
Oh.
It's become a mess. So I guess we have to take matters into our own hands and just not get them. Tell everybody they're dangerous and just, protect ourselves. The government does not care about you.
Amen, brother. I was the one in my family that told everyone not to get it. And everyone knew over the years that everything I was saying, because I've been saying stuff for a long time and it just keeps coming true. So they were like, okay, we'll listen to you on this one. And now all of the facts are coming out. We've seen it. And like I told you, I had a viral video where I put it together, a montage of just people dropping dead and dying after the COVID shot. And, it's disgusting. We, the people, need to realize that we are being poisoned. I think a lot of us know. I think we just don't know how to react and what to do. And plus, there's always a new story, always a new distraction, whether it's war, whether it's assassination attempts, whatever it is. Or assassinations on top of that, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. What do you think the next move is with treating cancer? Are there going to be, do you think there's going to be like huge centers opened up that are going to be treating people with this, ivermectin and the other drugs? Or, to battle against these cancer institutions? Here we have Moffitt, and we have different cancer treatment facilities that are huge. I mean, and these places are booming with business, booming. And if you go to the children's hospital, you can see them. It's sad, little kids walking around too, and they're trying to give these kids shots right when they're born. They're trying to give them these mRNA vaccines.
Yeah, it's disgusting what's happening, and honestly, I would hope to see that occurring. Widespread cancer treatment centers, providing repurposed drugs, but that'll only happen, I guess, because they only listen to basically federal guidelines or the pharmaceutical companies for guidance, and so it's not looking like they would want to start advocating for a repurposed drug to cut into their profits. And many of these cancer centers get direct money incentives for giving chemo, right? So their incentives will be cut off. Their customers will be lost. And again, many don't want that, but some won't care. Some do actually care about the cancer patients, thankfully, and I think they would incorporate it, but they're afraid of backlash by their superiors or whatever corporation is residing above them. And so
same thing during COVID.
Oh yeah,
same thing. The same exact thing. They wanted to follow the procedures, which they were just blowing people's lungs out.
Yep. Blowing their lungs out, hooking them up on ventilators, killing them that way, and then pumping them with remdesivir, which caused kidney failure.
And then saying ivermectin was bad,
yeah,
saying ivermectin's only for horses. They were getting on Joe Rogan for it. They were saying don't take it.
Yeah, yep, exactly. All sorts of horrible things. And so I guess we would need to see the government, federal government, endorse this repurposed cancer treatment with antiparasitics. I don't know if that can happen now. I mean, I guess one of the senior author on our study is actually the chairman of the president's cancer panel, so he is high up there. So, maybe something can happen in that regard once it's published in a peer-reviewed journal, which I have good news. We expect it will be in a few weeks, hopefully. But I don't want to say which journal because they're going to go after it and try and get it not published. But once it gets published, it goes into what's called pubmed.gov. And, people take it more serious. So people will start to take it more serious very soon. And hopefully we can see some sort of more adoption. Now, they have attacked our study because it's not a clinical trial with a placebo group, etc. And yeah, that needs to be done. But, that takes years and tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And, some cancer patients cannot wait, 10 more years for these clinical trials to be completed. And so our study serves now as the bridge point where, cancer patients have the right to try. And this is very promising. And so, and they don't want to wait, so many years. And so, the next step is clinical trials and adoption of guidelines acknowledging that these antiparasitics may help in cancer.
Have you seen any studies on how to detox these spike proteins from the body?
Yes, there's many things. And we published a paper looking at 3 particular compounds: nattokinase, bromelain, and curcumin. Nattokinase in the laboratory literally deconstructs and degrades the spike protein. And when you intake it oral, and again, that's a safe proteolytic enzyme derived from fermented soybeans, so it's safe. It's been used for, decades, over 50 years in Japan. And it has all sorts of other cardiovascular benefits, but it directly degrades the spike protein. Bromelaine's another one shown to degrade the spike protein. Again, oral proteolytic enzyme, that's from pineapples. And then curcumin that's from turmeric. Curcumin appears to block the ability of spike protein to bind to your cells. So that can help indirectly in that way. And so those are the methods so far. And then there's some experimental treatment ongoing in Japan. Dr. Kevin McCarran is administering it. It's basically a form of dual blood filtration. It's quite invasive, but it appears it's working in resolving the symptoms of people who are still producing spike. Where literally you get hooked up to a machine, a tube goes in your jugular, and you filter out all of the garbage from your blood, the spike proteins, the amyloidogenic proteins, so these misfolded proteins that formed from the spike protein, and then they introduce stem cell growth factors, and it appears to be helping some people. But again, that's experimental. There's not much data behind it, and you can't do it in the U.S. currently. And so that's what we have so far. We don't have much. We don't have much. Nobody's studying it. Nobody's looking at how to get rid of the spike protein. Nobody's funding it. And so right now, that's the main thing we're relying on, these oral proteolytic enzymes that may be able to clear it out. Oh, and one last thing. Sorry, this is important. Sweating, heavy sweating. If you can get in a sauna, every week or more often, because we know the spike protein is found in sweat. So it appears.
And heavy metals too from the chemtrails.
Oh yeah, exactly. Heavy metals, the chemtrail poisons, whatever else is in there, all the poisons from the food you eat, the forever chemicals, the nanoplastics, that will come out in sweat. And so the more you sweat, the more your body will detoxify this garbage. And so that's a big one for sure.
Now, I just have one more question two more questions. Now, is it safe to say that everyone should maybe take a little ivermectin once a year, a little regimen of ivermectin and fenbendazole?
Yeah, so that's would be, I would say, a personal choice. And again, I can't give medical advice. I'm not a physician, but I personally would consider doing that for sure. Particularly even just for parasites. I eat sushi, raw fish, those can be riddled with parasites. If I go in a lake somewhere, swallow a bunch of water, there's definitely microorganisms in there. I don't know which kind, maybe some parasites. And so, it cannot necessarily hurt to go through, a periodic cleanse like that. But, again, if I was diagnosed with cancer, I would personally go straight to the antiparasitics and many other alternative regimens that have been identified.
And is methylene blue something else that helps with that?
Yeah, that appears to be able to assist. There's not too much data on it. I would say the big one that has like a monster amount of data on it and literally clinical trials already is high dose vitamin C IV. In fact, they found in stage 4 pancreatic cancer patients, they gave them, and they compared it. So they gave one group high dose vitamin C, the other group no high dose vitamin C. Both of them had chemo, were getting chemo, but the group that got the high dose vitamin C lived twice as long. And so it doubled the survival and cut the cancer death risk in half. And again, this was a randomized clinical trial. So, yeah, I would do that. And again, there's many other very, very big things. But obviously, if you have cancer, you'd want to consult with your oncologist. And if they disagree with you, maybe consider finding a different one.
Well, hey, thank you so much for all that information. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. I was one of the organizers for the American Liberty Awards. We had Dr. McCullough come through and get an award. Want to say thanks to him as well. Just keep it up. And we do appreciate you and your time. I know you're a busy guy. You got to go. Is there anything else you want to tell the audience?
Just we're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep doing the research. We're going to keep sharing this information. So
and you're not suicidal?
Yeah, I'm not suicidal. Not suicidal. I'm very happy. Okay. And so, yeah, we'll definitely note that for sure. So,
yes, sir.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Nicolas, it was a pleasure. I mean, this half an hour went by so quick. The information is stunning. This is the biggest story, that is out there right now. People don't realize how big it is because we're so desensitized. But you know what? Keep it up. You're doing God's work. I appreciate your time. I hope you have a good one, brother.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Take care.
You've got the ex-chief scientist or whatever at Moderna saying that the devil is definitely in the details of RNA sequencing and the COVID genome sequencing. So what do they mean by that? And these are the things I'm finding that go back to 2014 and 2020, and I don't know what they mean by the devil. I kind of get an idea of what they mean by it, but I would like to ask them, what do they mean by that? Because if I've read through the paperwork, and I'm not an expert, at what I'm reading.
But let's be clear. These are smart people. Whether they're they're not smart for engaging in mad science, but they're smart enough to be able to engage in it. They don't work in coincidence. They don't say, "Oh, the devil's in the details," and then you look at the details of SM-102 and it's connected to luciferase. So to me, that's not a coincidence. That's subliminal messaging.
And in Orange County, an X-ray technician has died after getting his second dose of the Pfizer vaccine. According to the OC Register, 60-year-old Tim Cook had an adverse reaction within just hours of getting that second shot, and he died within a matter of days.
We're learning more tonight about the mysterious death of a man who died just hours after getting the COVID-19 vaccine.
Local woman says her mother died 2 days ago after receiving the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
And now she believes the dose is what caused her mother's sudden death.
State health officials are investigating after an elderly man dies shortly after receiving a COVID vaccine.
Last month, a Tennessee woman who was left partially paralyzed after getting her second dose of the Pfizer vaccine is up and walking again.
Only 11 spoke with a local woman who says she lost feeling in much of her body just hours after getting Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine.
The Orange County Coroner's Office is investigating the death of a woman who passed away several days after getting her second Moderna vaccine. The family says the mother and grandmother was healthy before she got her shot and that her sudden death came as a shock.
And it was the scariest thing in the world to go to sleep completely fine, walking, to wake up at 1:30 in the morning and not able to move at all.
We'll begin tonight, though, with a West Michigan mother's death 11 days after receiving the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
States all around the nation now, including here in the Commonwealth, putting a pause on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
This comes after reports of a possible rare disorder, including blood clots found in 6 women. 1 died. And we are following breaking news tonight. We have just learned the death of a Virginia woman is linked from the Virginia Department of Health.
Concerns around the safety of the AstraZeneca vaccine have been realised here in Australia, with medical experts confirming the death of a Central Coast woman is likely linked to the jab.
The Facebook picture that captured Augusta Toriaco's delight at getting a COVID vaccine. The 55-year-old Italian posting, "Fatto, done," on March the 11th. Despite developing a headache and feeling unwell afterwards, she returned to her work as a music teacher. Posting again to reassure friends, saying everything will be all right. Sadly, it was not to be. Her condition worsened. She fell into a coma and died 19 days after having the AstraZeneca injection.
A national panel to monitor adverse effects following immunization.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the latest from Titans of Liberty. That is just not even half of the compilation put together now. And Titans of Liberty is now the newest addition to the channels at band.video. We're very excited about this. That video is already going viral from Jason Lowe of Titans of Liberty. And Jason joins me now. You sent me this, I guess, 2 days ago, maybe it is now. You said it's the most important video you've ever done. You've done a lot of videos. You've done a lot of work over the days, boots on the ground stuff, going into grocery stores, warning them about the vaccine and everything. And so now here you are with this compilation. You've been banned everywhere, so now you have your channel at band.video. But talk about putting that video together and going through the compilation of all those news clips where it's just local news, mainstream news admitting, yep, the vaccine is killing people.
Well, that's why it's so important. This is crazy what's going on to humanity. And if you go to the CDC website, it says safe and effective. So I figured, why not post that along with the video as a screenshot, on the side, and just show what's going on. I actually went to YouTube and found these videos quick. I mean, all you have to do is look up vaccine injuries. And I was actually looking for the one female that was paralyzed, and she's back up walking again. And then they just reined in after that. And I said, man, this is out of control. I need to put a montage together so people can see. And this video, if I save one life with this video, because I mean, if after you watch this video, if you really feel like taking the vaccine, I don't know what to tell you after this. But if we can save one life with this video, then it was worth it. All glory to God. I'm just glad for the opportunity to be on Bandai Video and help out and wake humanity up to what's really going on.
Well, and imagine, like you said, they say safe and effective, and they call you a conspiracy theorist or will censor you from a social media site if you post anything negative about the vaccine. But it's like, this is admitted stuff. You're not reporting on anything that's not already out there, that's not already admitted. It's like they just don't want that real human connection from going from the TV screen and someone else's story to understanding, no, that can be you. That's you going into the vaccine clinic right now.
Right. And as you know, I went the other day to CVS and to Publix, also Walmart, to pick up the fact sheets for the Moderna and Pfizer vaccine. The Walmart section was closed at the pharmacy. And what I found was appalling. You were reading it the other day online, to the crowd for on Alex's show. And it's crazy to see on the first line of it's the Pfizer vaccine or the Moderna. It says, this vaccine is not guaranteed to be safe, effective, or appropriate for you. And now that's the first line of the fact sheet. That should raise red flags, but it only gets worse. Then it gives you the symptoms, and then it says, oh, by the way, these might not be all of the side effects. Oh, by the way, this can cause anaphylaxis, and then look at this poor girl here. And she says in the beginning of the video, and I noticed this was a trend with all these videos, they're like, oh, we don't know if it was the vaccine, but she died 2 hours right after she took the vaccine, or she was paralyzed. Right. She woke up paralyzed, and we don't know if it's the vaccine or not. But the CDC says it's safe and effective, and so does Fraud G. So, it's okay. Take it. It's just a normal vaccine. Well, we know it's not.
Well, and it's just like, why would you even be, if you were doing a scientific experiment, you would be honest about your results. I mean, you'd be like, okay, here's the results. Here's people dying. Here's the side effects. You'd be like, okay, we're going to catalog this. We're going to know. All right, this is what's going on with the experiment. But it's like, they don't even want to catalog this. They're not even, so it's like, they're not even running a real experiment. I mean, this is just a eugenics program. Release the vaccine, people die, side effects, long-term side effects. We don't care, just do it. So it's almost not even doing it justice to call it an experiment, because if they were doing an actual experiment, they'd be cataloging all of this data. They'd be being honest about it. They'd be transparent.
Right.
No, they're covering it all up. So this is just mad science on the loose, just being released into the community.
It's an investigational vaccine, and I'm sure they've done plenty of tests, and they know exactly what they're doing to us.
Well, and of course, we've gone now from them denying the Wuhan lab leak theory. Okay, now we're pretty much all accepting that now, I guess. So when are they going to start? It's like, when do they go to the next level, though, and say, what about Event 201? What about Crimson Contagion? What about all the predictive programming in the media and the Olympics and everything? But it's like, if we can't even be honest about our neighbors and our family members getting seriously ill or dying from this experimental jab, then how are we ever going to go back and look at all the root causes of the lies that got us to this point?
Just gave me chills, brother. It's crazy. I just asked God to guide me and to show and expose these people. And, the other day I was looking into just the injuries and stuff in the SM-102 and, the whole thing with the 90% chloroform, and it's only 10% SM-102 with that mixture at the Cayman chemical site that they're selling. So they're saying, oh, it's debunked or whatever. But I was looking into the SM-102, and I find out they've been writing papers since 2014. That video is also on my channel, saying that the devil is in the details of RNA sequencing. You've got the ex-chief scientist or whatever at Moderna saying that the devil is definitely in the details of RNA sequencing and, the COVID genome sequencing. So what do they mean by that? And these are the things I'm finding that go back to 2014 and 2020. And I don't know what they mean by the devil. I kind of get an idea of what they mean by it, but I would like to ask them, what do they mean by that? Because if I've read through the paperwork and, I'm not an expert, at what I'm reading.
But let's be clear. These are smart people, whether they're they're not smart for engaging in mad science, but they're smart enough to be able to engage in it. They don't work in coincidence. They don't say, oh, the devil's in the details, and then you look at the details of SM-102 and it's connected to luciferase. So to me, that's not a coincidence. That's subliminal messaging.
Right. And then you see the luciferase, or I'll call it luciferase. Somebody got on me for that. But anyway, you see that played out with the mice in the studies, right? So how do we know that's not in the vaccine? It even says on some of these vaccines that not everything is listed on the sheet.
Oh yeah, imagine that. Oh my God. Hey, Jason, stay right there. I got the stack of vaccine news. Just stay right there. Let's get into more of this news on the other side. And look at all these people that have died, folks. This is all documented. The latest addition to banned.video is the Titans of Liberty channel. Jason Lowe's done a lot of great work, featured here on the War Room throughout the years, and now he's been banned everywhere. So that earns you the credentials to get the new channel at banned.video, and he's put up so many great videos, already getting hundreds of thousands of views. But yeah, here's the diabolical advice that our government gives us right now. Avoid sunlight and fresh air as much as possible. Trap bacteria and germs on your face for at least 8 hours a day. Watch television news propaganda daily. Instill a sense of anxiety and fear in your children. Get injected with untested vaccines. And it seems like a cartoon. It seems like a troll, like a joke. No, that's actually what they're telling you. You couldn't even make this stuff up if you wanted to. It's beyond 1984. And you have actually now the president of Microsoft is he joking with us when he says, the president of Microsoft says Orwell's 1984 could happen by 2024? From the BBC.com. I mean, that's as mainstream as it gets right there. So they see it coming too. But maybe to a certain level, it's kind of like, they were just building technology and stuff. Now they don't even realize what they've unleashed. And now they're even getting, mopped up in it too. And it's like, oh my gosh, what have we done type of situation. But with these vaccines, it's truly diabolical. And so Jason Lowe is with us here. I wanted to go over some of the latest news with us. We already knew this, Jason, but it's just another study on top of another study on top of another study. New study done at the University of Louisville. Masks did not slow the COVID spread. So again, this is like the 5th or 6th study just in recent history that we've had of this. And Fauci already wrote scholarly medical literature decades ago saying that masks actually cause the spread of disease. So it's like, how many more of these studies do we have to see? But it doesn't matter. You still have people walking around in face masks.
Yeah. Well, you touch your mask here, you touch your mask there, you touch your phone, you touch everything else. It's all a joke. It's all a sign of slavery. It's all a sign of being a slave to the New World Order. And it's all a sign of, hey, let's just keep this fear going that way. And we already knew this is going to start with the mask of the beast. You get to the mark of the beast. I mean, that's what we're getting to. I mean, we're literally pages away. Okay. It's setting it's footsteps. When you're going hunting or you're following a trail, you see footsteps and you're getting to the destination. Well, we know what the destination is. China's already called for a global social credit score. That's anti-American. I'm glad I'm in Florida and we have DeSantis, but this is crazy. And I just want to make clear the record here. Giuseppe Ciaramella is the former head of infectious diseases at Moderna. And he's the one that said the devil is absolutely in the details as far as LMPs are concerned in 2020. So I just wanted to correct that. And the other article was SARS-CoV-2 sequencing data. The devil is in the genomic detail. And that's the American Society for Microbiology. Another one was written, one of the guys is a geneticist, Anton Kratz, and then Piero Carnisi. The devil is in the details of RNA sequencing. That's back from 2014 in Nature Biotechnology. So, I look at it this way. You know how ISIS makes their, whoever they capture, eat human flesh before they die because they believe that sends them straight to hell. Well, And look what's going on now. They're trying to change your DNA. The devil's building an army. And, that's how I look at it. And God says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. And sad enough, the churches are going along with this, and they have no idea what they're putting inside their bodies. Everybody thinks it's a regular vaccine. It's not. I even go around saying vaccine, but it's not. We have to really talk about what it is. But we play their word games. We call these people Democrats when they're not. They're communists. We got to stop playing their word games. We've got to stop calling, what's his name? Caitlyn. They call him Caitlyn, but his real name is the gender dude. What's his name again?
Bruce Gender.
Bruce Gender. That's his real name. Let's call him that. Let's stop playing these games with these people and living in this false reality. The devil wants to turn everything. Oh, God, take that off the screen, please. The devil wants to turn everything around, man, and it's sick. It is very sick. But, what can we do but wake people up and put these videos together and show them the proof? Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough.
No, and really, they don't even care about the reality of the situation. They're bought into their propaganda. They're bought into their cult. They're gonna commit suicide with the rest of the cult. It's the Jim Jones phenomenon, just worldwide. But it's even worse than just the mask not stopping the spread. You've got other doctors and scientists coming out. This came out of The Guardian today. Tens of thousands of avoidable COVID deaths. This was from, what's the individual's name here? Boris Johnson's former chief advisor, Dominic Cummings, saying tens of thousands of people did not have to die from COVID, but because of the way they handle it, he thinks that over 30,000 lives were cost. And so that's not just the lockdowns and the suicides and the mask spreading disease, but then you have the cancer treatments that went untreated and people died. And so it's just all of this stuff. You have American doctors saying the exact same thing. You have the CDC charts that just came out that show the correlation of COVID hospital deaths. You could impose both the charts up on one another. COVID hospital deaths versus COVID hospital incubators, putting them on the breathing machines, and it's the exact same chart. And it's like, oh, you were blowing people's lungs out, and when doctors were warning about that, they got censored.
Take off the damn mask and stop the madness. Ask yourself deep inside if you feel free. Ask yourself real deep inside.
Is that from one of your songs?
Maybe.
I had a feeling it was. But look at this.
It is, definitely.
Here's another one. BBC presenter dies from blood clots after AstraZeneca vaccine. I have these stories on my desk every day. Lisa Shaw. And then
Crimes against humanity.
And then there's this one. They won't say it. And so I saw John Davis, who was part of the Milli Vanilli famous band back in the 80s. They said he died, and they're all saying, died of COVID. But then you read the story, and the quotes are really weird here. They say he died from COVID-related causes. COVID-related. And then his daughter says, my dad passed away this evening through the coronavirus. So there's very weird stuff here. Now, nowhere are they mentioning a vaccine. Now, I have to assume a vaccine came into play here at some point in time, because if he's going through COVID, as she says it, or COVID-related, I would imagine they probably would have tried to vaccinate him at some point in time for this. Plus, he's obviously elderly. They wanted to give, and he's black, so he's right there with the first people they tried to vaccinate. But no mention of the vaccine, and they just say COVID-related causes. I wonder if this is yet another COVID death, not from the vaccine, though, that they're saying is COVID.
Well, if you don't drop that 15 minutes after your vaccine shot, then it wasn't the vaccine, right? This is crazy. This is what's going on. People need to wake up to it. And we're going to continue to put these videos together to show people. We went out to Clearwater Beach today. We filmed, and we're asking people, vaccine or no vaccine, what do you think about Fauci? What do you think about Biden? And you'd be surprised.
And this is going to be up at Band.video on the Titans of Liberty channel.
Should be up by tonight or tomorrow.
Wow. All right, Jason Lowe, thank you for joining us today, and we'll make sure to check out that video when it goes live.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate you guys for the Band.video. Help out as much as you can. Thank you, guys.
And sadly, this is not going to stop, folks. The vaccine rollout is not stopping. The first guy that got the vaccine, William Shakespeare, somehow, first guy, he's dead. 6 months, dead.
Dr. Anthony Fauci brought his campaign to get kids vaccinated to a D.C. school this afternoon. He was joined at Kimball Elementary School by a surprise guest, former President Barack Obama. Together, they spread the word about the safety and efficacy of vaccines and encouraged parents to get their shots for their children. Afterwards, the former president exchanged fist bumps with the kids in the Southeast school.
I can't believe my eyes. The nation is falling. We're at war. I want to honor the fallen. They want to make us the enemy, want to make us the problem. It's time to stand up. Freedom is calling. I can't believe my eyes. The nation is falling. We're at war. I want to honor the fallen. They want to make us the enemy, want to make us the problem. It's time to stand up. Freedom is calling. Now the kids are lining up. And they're having problems. The future for Jimmy, Marcus, Jenny, or Carlos. It all happened so fast. Now we're all dropping. When will you stop it? Rapping for Trump because you're getting profits. Can't call him out when he praises Big Pharma like a puppet in their pocket. Even DeSantis says take the facts. They got you worried about Ukraine while they're raping your body with a fake vaccine. I want to know which way will we go. Borders wide open. Fight for abortion. Bringing the crime. Want us to support it. Devil's got all politicians extorted. I keep praising God. This is written. Devil runs on my consents on our brethren. Australia's falling. Freedom is calling. Canada's standing. Got a demand. This is the plan. Give me my freedom. I'll give you a hand. All about peace. But let's take a stand. No matter your color, a woman or man. I can't believe my eyes. The nation is falling. We're at war. I want to honor the fallen. They want to make us the enemy, want to make us the problem. It's time to stand up. Freedom is calling. I can't believe my eyes. The nation is falling. We're at war. I want to honor the fallen. They want to make us the enemy, want to make us the problem. It's time to stand up. Freedom is calling.
Get snapping on you globalists. More than enough evidence to say you serve the serpent spoke about up in Genesis. Worship the same tricks, lust of the eyes, ruling by lies, thinking you're wise, but you're weaker than dust from by the word originator. See, I breathe that breath, I be the unseen likeness of my creator. Bismarck, you could catch the vapors. Real of the real deal, got no time for you Fauci fakers. A moment of silence for lives taken by these tyrants. Resistance is surviving, no longer denying. We the people are dying from the solution. Call it climate change from pollution, like AIDS to corona.
I can't believe my eyes. The nation is falling. We're at war. I want to honor the fallen. They want to make us the enemy, want to make us the problem. It's time to stand up. Freedom is calling. I can't believe my eyes. The nation is falling. We're at war. I want to honor the fallen. They want to make us the enemy, want to make us the problem. It's time to stand up. Freedom is calling.